Hello, everybody. Welcome back again to the Planet Film Network. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
And I'm your other host, TJ Cornwell. And tonight, we're going to be talking about a bunch of things. Talking
Mm-hmm.
about Ted Lasso, talking about Mandalorian, which just finished
Absolutely.
last week. I'll be talking some Cinemacon news. There's been a ton, but the reason we're kind of going later is we're hoping that something will come up while we're going live. I think there's another kind of thing to happen as well tonight. There's after the
So,
Flash screening.
yeah, tonight I believe there's a late night panel. I want to say it's perhaps Lionsgate.
Oh,
It's
okay.
one of the smaller studios, and there is a
Yeah.
late night panel because for them, I mean, it is still late night, but I believe it'll be like 8 o'clock. Because
hmm
the so for those who don't know, like what he was saying, we went a little bit later live tonight, because around 10:15 our time, so in just under an hour and a half, I would say, probably in about an hour and a half, we'll start to get the first reactions and the first reviews for the Flash coming out of CinemaCon, being um, its first world premiere and also the first premiere of CinemaCon. They typically screen a couple advanced movies. Last year was Top Gun Maverick.
hmm
Really got the buzz started early on that movie, and then just obviously we know what happened after that. Just kept the momentum snowballing and everything. Again, a great sign. We've been talking about it for the last couple weeks. It is a great sign that not only are they screening this movie at CinemaCon, but then today, as if everyone expected this, but today they did confirm that social media embargo, social media reviews, everything like that is all lifted, so people can talk about this movie and review this movie instantly. Which being this early is almost always a good sign. I'd be very surprised if we hear bad things coming out of this tonight, but
hmm
you know I'm sure we'll get the Bibianis of the world who it's not for them. But we will hopefully have a lot to talk about the Flash in the back end of this. At the very least, we'll get some tweets coming in if we don't start seeing full reviews coming through. And then, yeah, like you said, we're going to be talking a couple different shows. And we'll be talking a little Barry as well. Um,
Oh yeah, Barry, right.
which came back last week. I believe we didn't get a chance to talk about it on the last week's show, but I did put up a quick review of the first two episodes of season 4. Yeah.
Mm.
All right, so let's just dive into this thing, and of course, along the way, let us know if you guys want to talk about anything in the realm of pop culture, entertainment, news, etc., that you guys want to talk about. But for now, I have been watching a couple things. I don't know if TJ, if you want to go first, or if you
Yeah, I'll go
have
first.
some stuff, or
They're fresh in my mind. Obviously, okay, so we took a week off. Obviously, I've been watching Ted Lasso. Obviously, I've been watching Barry. Um, I've been back on of course, Attack on Titan grind, as I've said in previous weeks. Almost finished season 1. Really enjoying it so far. So excited to keep going with that. 3 movies I have watched since we last convened. First one I watched was Major League,
oh, okay,
which I don't think I talked about. I think, yeah, Major League, um, comedy, and I don't know. I was just in the mood for some sort of sports movie,
mm-hmm.
and I figured, I'm not a baseball guy. I'd rather probably watch it in a movie than actually watch the sport being played. Played a
Moneyball.
little bit as a kid, Moneyball. Played a little bit as a kid. Wasn't the greatest at hitting the ball. I wasn't a terrible catcher. But as far as actually batting, I was pretty bad. I remember one time I was up at the plate and I swung and I hit the ball, but I hit it with my hand. So they hit me. So I was like, oh, so I get to take the base. But they're like, well, no, you swung, so you like don't get to. I was like, okay, well, whatever. So that didn't count. But Major League, it was fun. It was good. I laughed some parts, but overall, I didn't find it that funny, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is a comedy. So I was a little, I was kind of in between. Um, Again, maybe if I'm more of a baseball person, I guess maybe I like the movie more. Um, that's just those are my quick thoughts on that. I watched Senior, which that Robert Downey
Oh,
Jr.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
documentary on his dad. Um, it was really good. I thought really a good because I knew his dad was like had made movies. He was kind of like this underground filmmaker in his early days and
Yeah.
made all these films. I think there's like a Criterion collection with like 4 of his movies on there.
Hmm.
That's all I really knew, and it was a really good just kind of look back at his life and the films that he made and his impact on filmmaking. Um, and the relationship between Robert Downey Jr. and his dad was something really special, and I thought they did a good job of taking you inside that relationship and seeing what effects they have on each other. So that was really cool to see. Um, and the last movie that I watched was Bridge to Terabithia, which I had never seen
First
before.
time?
Yeah, first time.
Upsetting?
So yeah, it was. I knew she died. Okay, but I don't know where I heard this. I had always
Spoiler
been
alert.
told that she was decapitated. And
Oh, that's like
it,
a Mandela effect thing. I think
okay,
I've
yeah.
definitely heard that.
And then I was like, "What are you talking about? Like that's not what happens."
Yeah,
And
no, I've definitely heard that.
obviously, Josh Hutcherson comes back and he's like, boy, like your your friend,
Your
she
head's
died.
removed from her
Yeah,
body.
exactly, yeah, and that was sad. I hated that part.
Hmm.
It gave me the Spiderwick Chronicles vibes. I always thought this movie was like they stumbled into some mystery universe. I never knew it was like the whole childhood imagination thing.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a disappointment. But I really enjoyed it. It was sad. Uh, the only thing that I was kind of like, I felt like they could have done more with, and I kind of, it's kind of this like Robert Patrick's dad character kind of gives off this hyper masculinity type thing,
Hmm.
I guess. Whereas Josh Hutcherson is more of this artistic kid, outgoing, and I always felt like it
Sick
just
piece of cake.
I never felt like those two. And at some point at the end, I feel like maybe Robert Patrick starts to understand his son a little bit more. But it never that relationship never quite clicked with me, where I felt like we got like a resolution in some way, um,
Yeah.
which is what I was looking for. But other than that, I thought it was a really good movie, and sad movie.
Hmm. Yeah. Danielle puts in the chat. Josh Hutcherson, underrated. Absolutely.
Josh Hutcherson,
Nothing
yeah.
but love for my
Uh,
Bread Baker.
and last thing, real quick, I don't know what it is. I think I'm becoming a 60 Minutes guy.
Uh-oh.
I watched 3 60 Minutes videos in the past hour.
In the past 60 minutes.
One was like that came out I think a year ago. It was these people trying to solve who gave up the Frank family, like Anne Frank's
Oh, wow.
family. Which it was kind of solved. It was like it's like solved, but it's not like cold hard shut like, oh, it was that guy.
Yeah.
But they basically insinuate that, oh, it was probably this person. There was an AI one that I watched that was kind of scary. They
Was it about Bing?
It was not, it was that was like, no, it was Google, but it
Okay.
was, they were like, oh, we got to get going with AI because Microsoft has this thing, they put it
Yeah.
out already, and Google's like, we got to start doing our thing. So that was a little creepy. And then I just got done watching this one where this family unknowingly purchased this home in Virginia where their ancestors were enslaved, which is kind of crazy. And it's like them going through,
Jeez.
like obviously there's shock, but then there's like, I think one of them was like, oh, this is where we started, and this is where our family started. And then some of it's sadness and it's, all this range of emotions. And yeah, I think I might become like a regular watcher on Sunday night.
There you go. Little plug there for
Yeah.
now I gotta ask you, with the Marjorie Taylor Greene interview of last week, do you think
Oh, I'll
Leslie
be
Stahl
honest, I haven't watched
has
it.
lost
I
all
haven't watched.
credibility?
Yeah,
I
I don't
just
know.
know
I
that
don't
that's
know.
the only most recent 60 Minutes bit of lore
Right.
that I know, is that people are
Yeah.
asking if Leslie Stahl has lost her touch.
Yeah, because I know people are like, why would you even give her like a platform, et cetera, et cetera.
And
I
Leslie
will have to
Stahl,
watch that though.
she just got all this street cred for being in uh Marcel the Shell. Like, she's one of the best parts of that movie.
Oh yeah.
Is Leslie
Okay.
Stahl, because 60 Minutes is a huge part of that movie.
Oh.
And somebody tweeted, they were like, Leslie Stahl just lost all her street cred from Marcel.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, just
Damn.
a lot of that going around this year.
She's the one who
Throwing away a good
interviews
thing.
the family too.
Oh damn! Wow,
Mm.
Leslie, what are you doing? All right, I have been. Well, first of all, I want to make a plea to you.
Okay.
And I want to make that plea with the help of Michelle, who's in the chat right now. You got to get on Succession.
All right.
You got to do it.
I and Danielle, I'm not gonna say it, and let's not talk about it now. But I know what happened, an episode or two ago. I saw on TikTok or Twitter or whatever. It wasn't even spelled out for me, but I saw the reaction. I saw like a scene
I don't
talking
even think
about
it would
something.
affect your watch, because
Okay, I'm just,
it's so like it just happened. Like, it just
Right.
happened,
Yeah.
and it's just.
Well,
I don't wanna
everybody's
say
like,
that-
I don't know if you saw the thing where everybody's like, oh, the poster, like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's I won't go into specifics, but I'll just say the way that the show kind of treats it, it's kind of
Mhm.
anti-spoiler, because in a way it is just kind of another thing that happened.
Right.
It's just kind of another thing that now we have to deal with. So, it kind of affects it in that way, but yeah.
I just want to get to the scene, and I think it's in season 2 when Logan gets up on stage and starts rapping. Because I think I find that song so catchy for some reason.
L to the OG. That song's up on our channel right now in the in my review of that episode.
Oh yeah.
I put it at the beginning there. But yeah, you got 5 weeks.
Succession.
It's more than enough time. My mother started it, I think,
TV.
5 days ago, and is already almost halfway through season 3.
Jeez. Oh my god.
I know. All right. So moving on here, like we said, we've been watching, your generals, Ted Lasso, Barry. Talked about Air, right?
We have not talked about Air.
We have not talked about Air at all.
No.
Let's talk about Air.
All right, I haven't seen it, so you're gonna be
okay.
telling me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is that right? What's today?
Today is 25th.
Yeah. No, 100%. All right. So, actually, do you just want to vamp a little bit? Talk about why you are lazy and haven't watched Succession. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't call myself lazy. I have not watched Succession. There's a lot of TV going on. Like I said before, I'm trying to watch Attack on Titan. Very slowly, unfortunately. We just got finished with Mandalorian. Mandalorian and Ted Lasso come out on the same day. Barry's now on Sundays. And I'm sure there's, Ahsoka's coming soon. And Succession, that is the one thing that I think I prefer with the television shows being shorter and longer. Succession are hour episodes, and from the first 2 episodes that I watched, they seem a little bit longer than an hour. Whereas, Mandalorian, as much as I say, and I'm sure Sean says too, oh, we got a cat cameo. As much as I say that, I love the episodes to be longer than, half an hour, they allow for a quick viewing. Same with Barry. Barry just like flies by because it's a quick, 30 minutes. Attack on Titan or any anime is like 22 minutes max usually. Usually it's like you're getting in the beginning, you're getting like what happened last week for a minute, and then you're getting like the whole kind of intro sequence for another minute and a half or so. And then you're already 4 minutes into the 24-minute runtime. So I blame length of episode on that. I'm going to attempt. Danielle told me as well that our volumes are different, which they always are. So I'm going to try to turn my mic down, and hopefully that works. So we'll see.
That other sweater was way
That's
too
the end of
loud.
my vamp.
All right. So, I heard what you said, and I think that's fair. They are definitely I would not just, some shows you go, oh, how long are the episodes? You go, oh, they're like an hour.
Right.
And what you mean is like, oh, they're like 45 minutes. I wouldn't say that this show is 45-minute episodes. I would say the show is hour episodes. Like, it's hitting, it's classic HBO. It's hitting 59, 103, every week. So I think that's fair. But let me talk about something else that is fair, and that is the movie called Air. All right. Excuse me? I'm sorry. You just... one second. All right, buddy. Thank you. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about Air. So, Air, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck starring, directing. But absolutely phenomenal movie. I mean, it's been talked to death, so I won't even go into like a full formal review here. Absolutely stellar movie, 80s vibes, throwback, everything that you would expect, montages, 80s power ballads, like everything that the trailer sells you on is in the movie. And I think the two, Viola Davis, fantastic, Ben Affleck, fantastic, Chris Tucker, fantastic, everything like that for sure. Also like Chris Messina, trying to think, there's just so many freaking people in this movie. But really, to me, I think that Jason Bateman and Matt Damon probably are my two favorite parts. Of the movie, because I think Matt Damon is the main character of the movie. But then, even though Jason Bateman maybe isn't the next biggest in screen time per se, I think that he is definitely the second most emotional heart of the movie, and his and Matt Damon's connection, I think, is really what informs a lot of the emotion and the heart of this movie. And so I think that it really, really does a great job of that. But I also just loved, there was this great Netflix documentary from, I want to say 2016, called Abstract, which was this, it's all about this different forms of art and everything like that. It was this like docu-series, one of the first ones that they did. And one of the episodes was on Nike, was on shoe design. And that was really kind of the only doorway into this kind of world that I was even remotely familiar with or even remotely had history with. So getting just to learn a lot of the inner workings of Nike and kind of where Nike, Adidas, and Converse were all at that time, and how they were going up against each other and who kind of favored what. I thought that a lot of that where, trying to think of a bad example, but just one of those movies that kind of overstuffs the information. This was much more in the line of like a Moneyball or like Big Short, where it's like that kind of Adam McKay kind of, I'm giving you so much dense information right now, but I'm going to kind of sugarcoat it so that you can kind of grasp what I'm saying quickly.
Right.
Which is also something that Succession does as well. Really, really well. But yeah, I absolutely... All right. Just one second. Go, buddy. Whew. I left my door open. I absolutely loved Air. Needless to say, I thought it was very, very, very good. Then I also watched Glenn Ross for the first time. Really, really good movie. I'm on a bit of just a small bit of a De Niro kick because I watched that, and then I also watched for the first time Carlito's Way, Brian De Palma film. I thought that was really, really, really good as well. And then also because they have the new show coming out with Rachel Weisz, the new Dead Ringers show. I didn't even know that it is based on let's see what year, in 1988 movie by the same name with Jeremy Irons, directed by David Cronenberg, which I took the time to watch that the other day. That was really, really good and really interesting. And then I also just watched a bit of Tales of the Jedi the other day. I just sat down, I watched the 3 Dooku episodes. just because I was craving some, I don't know, some kind of Star Wars, some bite-sized Star Wars, and I didn't want to launch into a whole Clone Wars arc. And man, that episode in particular, the Sith Lord with him and Yaddle, is just still so fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Les Mis. Let's see what else. Okay, I'm not gonna do a whole review here because I want to do a whole review on its own. But I did finally start in on Picard Season 3, which is a show that I've done a couple trailer reactions to. I believe the Season 1 trailer, Season 2 trailer, and then I did not because I'd kind of fallen off of the whole not that I'd fallen off permanently, but I'd really pushed all my Star Trek binge watching. You know, I racked it up on layaway a lot. I hadn't watched Discovery in a while. I watched the first season of Strange New Worlds. That was fantastic, but I had not watched Picard Season 3 yet. Currently on episode 5, and it is what everybody is saying. It is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's like it's crazy how different a show can be when you get entirely new showrunners and writers for the third season. Because I mean, it literally just went from kind of a legacy sequel, stereotypical like Picard living on a vineyard, but he's got to get called back into the fight, to basically Season 3 is just another Next Generation movie, just spread out over 10 episodes.
I was listening to on Roka's they were doing like a review of the last episode, and I was just listening to it kind of the background. I've never, I have no background really in Star Trek except I've seen the first 2 movies. And the way he was describing Picard, or like you said, the vineyard thing, I was like, it sounds like Thanos at the end of Infinity War.
Basically,
he's like sitting on, he's like, oh, my job's done. And now just a quick question. Sorry. Now before I watched Senior the other day, I was dabbling in my mind. I was like, man, Star Trek, Picard seems cool, but I don't know if I could just start there. I was like, what if I just like watch the first 2 episodes of like the original series? Would you recommend that, or would you say Next Generation probably?
I would go with Next Generation. I mean, I know somebody in this chat is about to get very upset, but the original series is like incredible for what it is. I mean, it's 1969, like just awesome shit. But that being said, I feel like if you went into, okay, you know what? Here, this is a great difference. I'm going to compare all of Star Trek to all of Doctor Who, okay? Because I know you have a frame of reference for that.
Yeah.
The 3 seasons of Star Trek, the original series, is like the first 40 years of Doctor Who.
Okay.
And then Next Generation is like 15 years of Eccleston.
Okay.
And then all the new stuff is new. So look at it like that way. I think that and granted, I mean it's like 30 years difference. I mean, TNG started in the 90s, or I think started in the late 80s, but was a 90s show, and then their movies obviously went into the early and mid 2000s and everything. So it's much more current effects, storytelling, and they all still cross over with Kirk and everything like that. And I think that you can kind of appreciate Kirk and Spock and all them. I just feel like you can kind of appreciate that team more by watching the movies. Rather than but that being said, go back eventually when you're in a Star Trek kick and watch those 3 seasons. I mean, they're quick, they're super old school and everything like that. But I think definitely Encounter at Farpoint is like one of the best pilots of all time. And it just gets you immediately, as long as you can withstand Riker not having a beard in the pilot, he's clean shaven. I think you'll be good. But definitely, I mean, and TNG, it was so popular for a reason. It just picks up and it just goes. And then also, TNG is not one of these shows that I'm like, the gospel, truth of like you have to watch every, like, if you find a list that's like essential episodes, you're probably fine with that if you don't want to commit to all the hundreds of episodes that there are. But yeah, definitely watch the essentials, and then Picard is definitely some of the best Star Trek that I think there's ever been. I don't want to say it's like Andor, but it's like it's like the show that's kind of a step up
Hmm.
from the other ones, at least for now. I mean, Discovery and Strange New Worlds. Discovery's closing out. Strange New Worlds is really just kind of starting.
Hmm.
Picard's kind of its own little thing there. But I think before I get distracted again, I think there's only one more here, which is right. Yes, I went and saw in the theaters the movie How to Blow Up a Pipeline.
Yeah, I've been seeing
Which I
something about this movie.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've seen, or or maybe anybody listening or watching um heard about kind of like the FBI involvement of like the FBI putting out a thing being like, this movie will not turn your child into a communist. There was all this like
What?
crazy stuff there was all this crazy stuff out there about all these parents, and all these political affiliated organizations and everything like that, were trying to boycott the movie because obviously it's about blowing up a pipeline. It's about getting people off of indigenous land, um, pushing back against just the fossil fuel industry in general, oil companies in general. There's a lot to this movie, and a lot that a certain compartment of America and the world, probably don't really like the message that it's sending.
Hmm.
That being said, stripping all that away, because I think really you could go into the movie, make that judgment for yourself on how it kind of. Well, first of all, I should say I think it handles the subject matter great, but go to the movie and make up your own mind on how you feel about the subject matter. Um, because to each their own and everything, but kind of taking that away, taking a step back from that, I thought that the filmmaking was absolutely beautiful on it. I don't know if did you see from it was either 19 or 20, Queen and Slim. Did you see that?
No, that was on the list, but no, I didn't get
It
to it.
kind of reminded me of like Queen and Slim, Bones and All vibes. Like it was
Hmm.
like it's shot on 16 millimeter, like it's natural film grain, like it's got that just raw, like just run and gun feel throughout the entire movie. Because you're really only following these, I think 7 or 8 main cast members, for nearly all of the movie. There are some where it kind of goes out and it's more traditional sets and extras and everything, but for most of the movie you're mainly just following this core kind of crew. But I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I thought that the tension was great. Every single character was dynamic and had their own interactions and relationships and dynamics with everyone else.
Hmm.
So I thought that that was really, really good, and really well done. And I just really liked the kind of like the like rhythm of it. I just really liked how I don't want to get in too much on how the storytelling is done and everything, but it's a very non-linear movie.
Hmm.
And I really, really liked that, and they used the non-linear aspects of putting these cuts in and everything to they use those moments very opportunely, I'll say. They really use that to its full advantage, in telling the kind of bigger story that the movie was telling. But yeah, How to Blow Up a Pipeline. If it's playing in a movie theater near you, go see it. I don't really know how long it will be, or if it even is still. But really, really great movie, and I'm sure it's probably going to be overlooked when awards season comes. But I think right now, it have if I was making my list right now, I think it'd probably be like 9 or 10 maybe on my list.
Hmm.
Really,
To
really
be
good.
completely honest, honestly, up to this point, I thought it was a documentary.
I thought it was a documentary
So
until the
yeah,
moment it started.
got it. All
I
right.
thought I had just purposely stayed away from everything,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to make my own assumptions about it and everything. And when I sat down and I saw how it was filmed, I was like, oh, I was like, wait, these are actors. Like I genuinely had no idea until the first few
Uh,
frames of the movie that it wasn't a documentary. Um, but yeah, super happy to realize that. I thought it was fantastic. But yeah, that's my thoughts on How to Blow Up a Pipeline. Do you want to talk some box office, or do you want to get talking on some Barry, Ted Lasso? Where do you want to go at?
um,
Mando, got a lot.
Let's talk about let's talk Ted Lasso real quick, because that
All
should
right.
be, it's probably be a pretty short conversation that we can the box office then, etc. After
Mm-hmm.
that. And I'm not gonna clip this one out. Just you
Okay.
uh, but yeah. So Ted Lasso. I think we're on episode
Yeah, it's always
5.
hard because the Ted Lasso episodes go out while we're live, so
Right.
it's
There's one
always a
out right
week
now.
old.
Uh,
Um, the Amsterdam
episode
episode,
right.
the basically Ted
1,
Lasso
2,
movie.
3, 4, 5, 6. Episode 6. That was. Yeah. So a nice kind of just like, I guess, just detour from the regular season. Obviously we're paying a friendly. I'm assuming I don't remember why they're in the Netherlands. I know it's for a friendly, but I'm assuming it's some sort of international break or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Jamie says something. He's like, when he's asking Roy if he's ever been there, he says like an international friendly or an international match or something like.
Mhm.
So I just assume it's that, but I mean, you know more about the sport
Right.
than I do.
But yeah, nice little break. We got a bunch of different storylines. We got the team kind of going out and doing something team bonding and trying to figure out what to do. We got Colin going out on his own and meeting up with Trent at some point. We got Ted going to an American style restaurant by himself. We got Keely. I forget what she does. I think she kind of just like fades off in the episode.
Yeah.
And we got Jamie and Roy kind of, training and I guess bonding, building a relationship as well.
Yeah.
And then what's the other one?
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
With
Rebecca
the guy with
falls
the fish
into
man.
a river and gets rescued by a guy living in a boat.
Yep.
What'd you think? So what'd you think? What'd you think of this episode?
I think you laid it out really great there. I
Yeah.
really loved I really loved the episode. Just first and foremost, I thought it was really fantastic. Like I said, I kind of just in my head referring to it as like a Ted Lasso Amsterdam special or the Amsterdam movie or something, because it really just felt like we just took this break off of the main storyline to just tell this really beautiful kind of one night in all of these characters' lives. And that instantly made me think of it as this season's Coach Beard episode. That the episode that everybody was like, "Oh, what the fuck was that?"
Yeah.
Or even this year's Christmas episode, like we had last year. I thought that this, however, was done where I liked those two episodes. I really liked the Christmas one. People didn't really complain about the Christmas one as much as they complained about the Coach
I
one.
really like Christmas one. Yeah.
But I loved this one. I thought that this was just like that Coach episode, but instead of just following one character, you're following kind of 3 to 4 main storylines. I would say probably, because there's really 4 main ones, which is Colin and Trent, Roy and Jamie, and then Rebecca, and then Ted, and then you're also checking back in with the rest of the team with Isaac and Sam and Danny and all the rest, and Van Damme really wanting to go to a live show, not the kind of live show that we do.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was done so expertly well. It was like the spinning plates on your hands and everything like that. But I think that they kept all the storylines up in the air long enough, paid them all off, I think, satisfactorily, and was just really interesting insight and thoughtfulness and all the great Ted Lasso adjectives that they always do for all their characters. But like Ted really getting in touch with himself, like literally, whether he was intoxicated or not, depending on what Coach says. But I really love that stuff, just how kind of out there the show can be. Probably kind of that whole sequence with the shapes and the voiceover probably being the most out there thing the show's ever done. And I think
that was really cool.
Yeah, I think it really nailed it too. It was really, really funny. and I thought fit the vibe and the tone of the show perfectly. Like I was not
Mhm.
like basically that's my takeaways. Everything, every hit that or every swing that this episode took, I thought it crushed. For me. But and then at the end you get the classic Ted Lasso, you know, everybody singing and having a nice time, and you know, it's all going to be okay. But before I throw it back over to you, so I have been a recent convert in the past few weeks to the Ted Becca Endgame here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, do you not see it after this
I
episode?
see it. No, I see it. Yeah.
I mean, because I know last time we talked, it's been 2 weeks since we talked about it, but then last week, which we didn't get to talk about, you have that moment where they both walk past each other and don't even like register that it's them, and then they turn around and they're like, "Oh my god." And then they have that moment where she says, "I'm sorry for bullying you," and he goes, "Oh, it's not like you're a psychic." And they both, you know, both words, which obviously meant a lot to each of them in that episode. And then this week, you know, he's texting her like crazy, and it's this kind of, you're kind of as an audience put directly into that position of Ted, of her feeling like, why isn't she answering me? But what are your kind of thoughts on that now? Are you know, I know you just said you definitely see it, but how do you feel about? Do you think that's where we're going? Also, the matchbook. She's looking at the matchbook, but right behind the matchbook is the cookie box. Like,
right. That's what I've been more noticing is the matchbook whole thing, where obviously we had that kind of Sam and her relationship.
yeah.
But then we kind of moved past that at the end of the last season.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. She's holding the matchbook in front of the biscuit box that Ted gives
Right.
her. She's got to look at what's been in front of her there the whole time.
Oh, fair enough. Yep. So that's definitely a possibility. I really liked her kind of story with I forget the man's name in the
I don't
boathouse.
think we ever found out. I think they made a joke about it at the end. I don't
Oh,
think
yeah,
they
you're
got a
right.
name. Yeah.
And them kind of spending, you know, the night together. Very up. I'm still not sure whether they had sex or not. It was
that
kind
was
of
left on a weird note because she was like, "Did
yeah.
we?" And he was like, "No." And then when she left, he was like, "Oh yes, we did."
I think it was more. I felt like it was more of like an emotional kind of
yeah, like, "Oh yes, we did have an emotional connection." But
connection, something like that. Yeah, you know what I mean. But I thought that was all really nice. I really liked the Colin and Trent Crimm storyline. I really liked them talking about, you know, obviously Trent coming out as gay, I think is talked about, as well as Colin, and Colin, you know, wants to embrace his boyfriend just like all the other players embrace their girlfriends at the end of the game and stuff like that, and he just, you know, he can't do it. And you know, them having that conversation was really cool to see, and you know, I thought both those actors did a great job. The whole kind of, that just going back to Ted and that like American restaurant thing, that whole kind of shape, however they like, that was really cool. Yeah. Like it felt very vintage, like, you know, I don't know where they came up with that idea, but it just was really cool.
Like Muppet Show, like
yeah,
I know what you mean, like one of those type of like just this throwback like Sesame Street almost, you know, vibe.
Right. And you start to get like that. And you know, I feel like maybe you don't see it that often because again, Ted he was coaching football.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't coaching soccer in the United States. He wasn't this, you know, coach that was coaching an MLS team and he got moved to the Premier League or anything like that. But you do see like he kind of has an idea, you know, of what kind of he can do as tactics go. You know, he doesn't have to rely on Coach Beard and Roy to kind of give him all the answers, you know. And I did like the fact when he was like coming up with that whole thing, and he's coming up obviously with the triangle offense and the Chicago Bulls, etc. How he's like, he gets on the bus, he's like, does this look like it's doable? And he's like, did you come up with this yourself? Coach Beard says that. He's like, yeah. And you're like, has it been done before? He's like, yeah, in like the 1980s or something.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, he's like,
do you think it'll work? He's like, maybe.
Yeah, like it's not the fact that it has to be an original thought. It's the fact
Right.
that it was an original thought. Like, you know,
Right.
that's the thought that counts. It's,
Yeah.
but yeah, no,
You
I
know,
thought that was fantastic.
he's been
Yeah.
we've been seeing him too. He's been reading those tactics books and everything, trying to get an edge, and maybe he
Yeah.
finally got one.
I feel like he
Uh,
really did. Also, did you know it's the barbecue sauce? I had to look. I didn't have to look this up, but I
No.
saw it afterwards on Twitter that in season 1, Henry told him that he was gonna send him something that reminded him of home, and at the end of the episode, that's what he sent him. That's their favorite barbecue sauce together. So
Okay.
when he tells the waitress to surprise him, and that's what she brings him. That's why that moment was like so.
Got
Because I figured when I was watching it, I was just like, oh, it must be from Kansas. It must be from, home or whatever. But then it wasn't until I got online after the episode that I realized no, that sauce in particular, literally Henry sends him from the States. And so I think it's just, and that's another thing about the show is just, it's like whether he did take the drugs or not, or whether he took them, but whether they were effective or not, I think that something was kind of like you said, something kind of clicked or unlocked for Ted. Just kind of cleared his mind. And maybe it is just as simple as he got a taste of home. I mean, he's never been back home since he left. I feel like that's so easily overlooked in this show is that he came over here and has not looked back. And so I think being in a place, even as, and I love the joke. He's like, where are you from? Where about in the States are you from? And he goes, Melbourne. And then he just goes right back to his southern accent. Like, he's just like, what? And then he doesn't know that Chicago is the Windy City. I thought all the humor in this show is so good. But yeah, I mean, I really liked that scene of Ted because it's like, earlier in the season, you and I were saying, oh, I hope that the show doesn't lose focus on Ted. And then it definitely hasn't. But then I feel like the show purposely was kind of giving us a lapse in Coach Ted Lasso. Like he's really been very relaxed, and I don't want to say not taking the job seriously, but I feel like a lot less mentally checked in this season. He's like the scene where he rips down the believe sign. He's kind of, or when Zava leaves, he just kind of gives him a pep talk, and he's just like, all right, go get him. And they're like, are you going to say anything about Zava? And he's just kind of like, oh, yeah. Like, he just didn't seem with it. And so to see him, like you said, so, like, dedicated and, like, writing down these ideas and stuff, like, it was just kind of, like, a great, like, victory moment as a fan watching this. But, yeah.
These losses they've been sustaining, this is more actuality.
Yeah.
How it would go with a newly promoted team going up to the Premier League. Which, by the way, shout out Wrexham Football Club.
I saw that.
From the National League to, I think it was second division.
So is that higher or lower than? Where is that? Is that
that is so we got Premier League, we got the Championship, we got Division 1. I think it's Division 1. And then we got Division 2, which is where they are at now. And then they were in the National League, which is below that. So
relatively speaking, Wrexham is like several layers lower than Richmond.
Currently, yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think Richmond started in the Championship, I believe, which is the one rung below the Premier League. So
yeah.
But yeah, and just lastly, the whole kind of Jamie and Roy storyline, I thought that was really cool. That whole like thing where Jamie's like, yeah, my dad brought me here when I was 12 to the red light district and I lost my virginity. And I was like, what the?
Yeah, that was like Jesus Christ. But man, that's what this show can do. I mean, it's like,
yeah, it was just like hella dark.
How R-rated it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Roy was like, well, that must have been traumatizing.
We almost missed an entire segment of the episode.
What's that?
Higgins and Will.
Oh, right. Yep.
I thought that was fantastic. Good for Higgins getting a nice big episode in there and getting to play.
That whole that was funny when he was like, "Oh, let's go to the red light district," and everybody's like, "Is everything okay at home?"
Yeah, that was She's like, yeah, why wouldn't it be? Like, and he just goes to show him where this musician died. Like,
Yeah.
he goes, he died
Jumped out
right
of
there
a
on that spot. Oh, how did he die in that spot? Oh, he jumped right from up there. I was like, that was so funny. Man, yeah, just a fantastic episode of Ted Lasso, 100%.
That was funny.
All right, let's talk box office real quick here.
All right.
So if I can pull this up, if you get, ooh, there we go. So as you guys can see here, just pulling up thenumbers.com, which is where I usually get all my stuff, but just to show you guys. So we haven't talked about box office in a couple of weeks, so I just wanted to check back in because one movie's been pretty much dominating, another movie's been quietly racking up the money, and we've had a couple other surprises here and there. So kind of the first thing that I actually want to jump out to here, and I'll just quickly say, this weekend we got number 1 was Mario Brothers with 59.9 million. Number 2 was Evil Dead Rise with 24.5 million. That's huge.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a second. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, which also I did not get a chance to see yet, but people are saying really, really great things about that. Opening at number 3 at 6.3 million. Number 4, John Wick Chapter 4, bringing in another $5.8 million in its fourth weekend. And
I'm gonna say right now, John Wick 4 deserves better than 168 million. I'm assuming that's domestic.
Yeah, well, we will talk about it for sure.
Okay.
But yes, obviously I agree with you. And then, sorry, I actually messed that up. So John Wick Chapter 4 is actually in its 5th weekend of release. And then in its 4th weekend of release, at number 5, we have Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. So, the first movie I want to talk about here that is in a bit of a pickle, but it was kind of an accepted pickle, because Air right now is currently sitting at $69.1 million, I should just say. And so that's interesting for a couple reasons. So this is the first movie of this new joint coalition, this new joint company between Ben Affleck and Matt Damon called Artist Equity. Just like the name, basically their whole mission is to create movies, create productions where every single person on set can either get back-end points, a back-end percentage, or make sure that every single person in some way, whether it's bonuses or just their raw salary, basically earns what they deserve. Is basically the entire thing. And I mean, I don't work for Matt Damon or Ben Affleck, but I did go on the website and I read up about it and everything. It's kind of a, an idealistic crusade, but I think it's important for a lot more companies and stuff to speak up for everybody that works on sets and everything. And they have another Artist Equity movie coming up later in the year, starring Cillian Murphy, which is supposed to be cool. But the thing that Artist Equity is about, of paying people, their fair dues and everything like that, obviously that does come with a higher price tag to get the movie made. And so that's the problem that Air is kind of facing, is how really can you support that many people with this big, huge initiative without making it cost a ton? Because as it stands right now, the budget for Air was about $65 million. So you take the budget plus probably for this movie another 20, maybe 25 million for advertising. This movie's got to make like 100 million to start turning, a decent profit for the studios, which it has, not done and most likely won't. But then the other end of this Air spectrum here is this movie was originally envisioned to be a streaming movie. So really it wouldn't have made any of this anyways, which is, kind of, I don't know, a blessing or a curse, because now you're put up to the same pressures as a cinematic released movie, but you kind of go, well, they weren't planning on getting the money back anyways. But just wanted to touch on Air there for a second. So John Wick Chapter 4, to get a better idea of where we're at, 169.4, basically 0.5 million domestic, and then 192.3 international. So total, it's about 361 million almost 362. So that does make it the highest grossing John Wick movie of all time. But also it was the highest budget. So all in all, this movie is super, super profitable because it had about $100 million worth of budget. And the marketing campaign was less on this movie than previous, big action franchises and everything like that. So you figure probably 50. So this movie's probably cleared at least $200 million, in actual profit. Yeah, which is great. But I do agree with you that just personally, I would love to see a John Wick movie hit.
I just felt like
500 easy.
When people are talking about its box office, I'd always felt like it was so much more money, and then just seeing it there, I was like, oh, it's not as much as I thought it was.
it's because all four of those movies are such relative smash hits. Like the first movie has a $20 million budget and it made $100 million, and it made $80 million. The second one has a $40 million budget and it made $120 million. The third one is a $75 million budget and it made $300 million. This one had a $100 million budget, but it's probably going to make $400 million. So it's just that staggered, that steady kind of climb that this movie's doing. But speaking of steady climb, is not this movie, because this is a, quote, meteoric rise for the Super Mario Brothers movie. So currently right now, you're in basically 21, not even really yet, 21 days of release here, and you are looking at $881 million worldwide already, which, you figure you have another almost 2 full weeks to just rack up as much money as you can before Guardians comes and, squishes you like the plumber that you are. I think this movie easily makes $1 billion. I think this movie is definitely going to make $1 billion. This past
Has it come out in Japan yet? I thought there was a thing where I was seeing it hadn't even come out in Japan.
Japan. It has not. Right there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it has not. So that is actually good thing you brought that up. Oh, it releases this week in Japan. Yep. So,
there you go. Mark,
there you
very
go.
Shortly.
Honestly, even if you took, I was just saying it was going to hit $1 billion with all these territories just over the next 10 days. You add that Japan hasn't even started, this thing's hitting $1 billion before Guardians for sure. We all expected this movie to be uber successful, but I don't think that we figured it would be this successful this fast, which is, just pretty staggering. But also reassuring that a movie can be this profitable and can be this successful. Still, it was a really slow and harrowing recovery for the box office over the last few years. But the fact that we've gotten these movies that are now hitting, $1 billion for Top Gun, $1 billion for Spider-Man, $2 billion for Avatar, almost $1 billion for Doctor Strange, and then $1 billion for Mario. I think it just shows that we're going, in the right direction. And then another small movie here that I did want to talk about, which was another one that was planned just straight up for an HBO Max release. It had about a $15 to $20 million budget, and that is Evil Dead Rise. So Evil Dead Rise is another one that I have not gotten a chance to go out and see. I hear that it is very, very scary, so, I might have to think twice on that one. But it has made $44.4 million. Again, this was going to be a straight-to-HBO release that did not stand a shot to making any money, and even if it did, it would just be folded into the, it's just another movie on our service that drives growth. Now, there is $45 million pinned squarely on the success of this movie in particular. And then today, that kind of wiggles us on over to what we're going to be talking about for the next little bit here, which is Cinemacon, because today the Warner Brothers panel was held, and the first opening remarks that David Zaslav had was, make no mistake, from here on out, Warner Brothers Discovery makes movies for the big screen, period. They are not going to be
movies.
Exactly. They are not going to be making Max original films. Now, I think that that line is going to be blurred a bit when you have, you know, like a TV movie, you know, that kind of thing. Yes, I still think that we're going to see Max original events or whatever you want to call it or something like that. But do I think that we're going to see these 20 million, even $15 million HBO Max movies anymore? Not at all. And definitely not anything like a Godzilla versus Kong or, you know, Godzilla X Kong or even something like Barbie. You know, I think these movies, they are firmly saying we are putting these in theaters. And I think that Evil Dead Rise is a great example of why that's a good idea. Because that's $45 million. And that's just the opening weekend, mind you. You know, that's $45 million that they would not have had otherwise. That is just free and clear in their pocket. Because this movie was originally envisioned to not turn any profit. So it's literally like basically free money. And I'm sure they're very happy with the result, obviously, but also with the Evil Dead fans. And I'm sure we are going to be getting a lot more of that franchise soon from WBD over there. All right. Anything you want to talk about with box office there, or your thoughts on Mario?
Just real quick. One thing. What's your opinion? I know you obviously haven't seen it. Evil Dead Rise. Were you interested or no?
I think I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. I definitely want to see it. I just don't know about how scary it is.
Have you heard of this cheese grater scene that's going around?
I have heard of this cheese grater scene. Also, apparently, some scalps are involved with some
scalps. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Now I have seen, I believe, the full scene. I saw it on TikTok, as you do every movie. A little rough. Not something I would want done to me. But I would hope so. Again, not the biggest horror person, but I am interested. I will say that. Not to go see it in a theater. I will gladly watch it at home. And then you might have to go to this movie because I want to see it. I don't want to sit through it. I was excited for it. I think this was on our top 10 most anticipated, and it's been getting eviscerated. That is Beau is Afraid.
Oh shit. Okay.
How are the ticket sales for that one? I need to know. And are you still interested?
Oh, I am absolutely interested. I will take a. This is a career killer. I'll take a career killer, man. Show me any career killer that you want to show me, because it means, you know, that somebody took a risk, you know, and that's sign me up for that. I'll take a 3-hour risk, especially with Ari Aster, coming off of Hereditary and Midsummer and everything like that, and then Joaquin Phoenix, obviously. But in terms of how it's doing. My theater is actually one of the only ones that does not have it yet.
Oh, wow.
So it's only in 996 or something like that theaters right now. And then this week it's going wide to, I think, 2,000. So we're getting it this week.
Got it. Okay.
But I will say I definitely do want to see it. I for sure want to see it. And, you know, I think the people that are poo-pooing it just... whatever, you know, I'm still gonna see it. I think you could say the same things about Hereditary and Midsummer, you know. And I remember people saying stuff like that about Midsummer. Like I definitely remember being like, oh my god, you have to see this movie, and people being like, that movie looks weird as hell. Like, what the fuck, basically. But yeah, I definitely still want to see Beau is Afraid for sure.
I'm also interested. Still interested. Just to see if it's really that terrible that I feel like a lot of people have been saying that it is. Yeah. You know, is it going to be? You know, I doubt it'll be. I doubt it'll be the end of Ari Aster's career, as you know. I feel like some people probably said, but maybe it gives some people, some studios, second thought on when he wants to bring an original movie to them to
I'll tell you, because also there from the money perspective, actually that's a really good point. Before we move on from box office, I want to look up how Beau is Afraid is doing in main markets because uh whew.
Oh,
So
yikes.
okay. So yeah, so 965 theaters it's in. So this is just from 965 theaters. It's made 3.2 million dollars so far. Now, the real that might look bad. It might look bad, but the thing is you got to remember is that that is real bad.
Hmm.
Because this is by far, like far, far, far and away A24's most expensive production ever. It's $65 million. So basically, this had the same budget as Air.
Mm.
Um, and Air, most of the budget went to paying the cast and the crew. Rather than production design and everything like that. But this is true and true. I mean, they basically gave this guy $60 million to go hog wild with, um, and for better or for worse. But you have to understand. I don't think that A24 ever thought that they were going to be making their money back on this.
Hmm.
I mean, you look at let's see. Let's just do a quick Ari Aster. Uh, quick Ari Aster
Comparison.
comparison here. All right. So Hereditary. Wow. I actually wouldn't have thought that. I actually would have thought that Midsummer would have made more than Hereditary.
Mm.
But Hereditary, peaked, made 44 million. That was what it made total. Midsummer, which to me, whether what's better or not, I feel like Midsummer is probably the more popular of those two movies. Only made 27 million. So to give him a budget of 60, I mean, you would have to be expecting out of nowhere a 3 times multiplier on on Hereditary's entire box office run,
Hmm.
to even sniff the potential to make money on it. So I think for what it's worth, I feel like they knew it wasn't about making a profit with it, so I don't know how worried they really are about it. But it does have to be said, $65 million movie to make, only $3.2 million so far at the box office. Not gonna look good on the balance sheet, no matter how good of a movie it is.
Yeah.
Um, Hopping over to what makes a movie good, I'll ask you and I'll ask the entire audience. Do you think that a movie rating is what really sets it over the edge? That an R-rated movie is really gonna just take a bad movie and make it beautiful?
I don't think so. No.
Well, that's what Sony is really hoping for, because they announced that Craven, which by the way, the movie is no longer called Craven the Hunter. It is just called Craven. Maybe
Oh,
the
okay.
Hunter may still be part of a logo treatment. I don't know, but it's only being exclusively referred to as Craven from here on out, I guess. Craven is going to be rated R. First footage from Craven reveals Aaron Taylor Johnson in the vest as he slices up a military convoy in very bloody fashion. Now, I did hear the description of this, that apparently not only is he using many knives to cut open someone's torso, but he also apparently
Ew.
grabs their face and bites their nose off and then spits it into the camera. So they are going full hard R Blade style on this movie over at Sony. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that this is what this movie needs, or do you think this is just kind of over the top just to be over the top? Or do you think it could be pretty good? I mean, people did have an overwhelmingly positive reaction to the footage. But that being said, a trailer can kind of be anything these days. But how do you feel about Craven with some of these updates that we've been getting? And also, the trailer will apparently premiere this summer, most likely probably with Spider-Verse.
Mm. Um, no, I think that I don't know much about Craven, the Hunter. I know he hunted Spider-Man. I know he got Spider-Man, buried him alive, I believe, in the comics. Um, I think that given Sony's track record of, if you take away if you take away, either like No Way Home, Homecoming, etc., or Spider-Verse,
Yeah.
what do we have other than that? We have a track record of making the movies in the
Morbius.
Spider-Man universe. They're being either are they? They're not all R. I think PG-13 to R. Was Morbius R or was that PG-13? I want to say it was PG-13. And I'm assuming I believe Venom were the Venoms PG-13.
Yeah, that's what I was just
Yeah,
gonna say.
PG-13.
I don't think
Okay.
any of them have been rated R. I think that people have really wanted. Was Venom Let There Be Carnage? No, that's PG-13. Yeah, I think they've all just been PG-13. But I will say, I mean, it would make sense because I mean Venom. I would say Morbius less so, but the Venom movies definitely toe that line of a hard PG-13.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I think that maybe I wouldn't say they're doing it just for the sake of doing it or for the shock factor. I think that's just kind of where they're going with those movies. So we'll see what happens. Like you said, people said they liked the trailer. So hopefully this is finally a hit for Sony in their kind of villain movies. Hopefully that happens. I really hope it does. Am I confident? Not really, but we'll see. Who's directing it?
That is a great.
It is.
Question. Yeah, if you could look that up.
It is J.C. Chandor. He did Most Violent Year, Margin Call. I like that movie.
Oh, Most Violent Year is
Triple
good.
Frontier.
Okay, Triple Frontier. All right. Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon will be wearing Ghostbusters uniforms in the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel. How do you feel about this? Is that all your dreams?
I haven't seen the most recent one.
Fair enough.
They didn't wear uniforms in the last one, I guess then.
No.
Okay.
They did not.
Got it.
Harrison Ford confirms Dial of Destiny will be his last time playing the character. No shock there. Daniel Radcliffe welcomes his first child into the world. Shout out.
Congrats.
Just getting caught up here. All right. Then today we have first of all, huge news. A sequel to The Pope's Exorcist is in the works.
Great.
Absolutely. And then today we had the big Warner Brothers panel coming up, which did happen. Just trying to get some of that here. Also, have you been seeing some of these? They've been releasing these posters for Visions, one every single day until May the 4th.
Oh, no, I haven't seen them.
Any of those? Pretty cool. I really like the one for the one that's just called Sith. I'm excited for that. All right, so some of the Warner Brothers stuff here. That we got our first look at, and of course, a ton of this is just convention exclusive and to be released later and everything. But they were shown a first sizzle reel, first look at Furiosa, which is of course the Mad Max spin-off movie starring Anya Taylor-Joy. What are your thoughts on that? Where's your hype level at for that?
It's probably at a 5 or a 6. I'd say maybe less. Honestly, I like the Mad Max movies. Seen all of them. Shockingly, Fury Road, awesome movie. Even the Mel Gibson ones I thought were really good.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't consider myself like an avid fan of the franchise or anything like that. But I'll definitely check this movie out. I really like Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people wanted Charlize Theron to come back, but obviously that's not happening.
Yeah, and I think that they leave the door open too because, and I think Charlize even said, like, listen, this movie is a prequel. Like, it's designed to be a prequel, everything like that. Like, it's the same reason, you're not getting Tom Hardy in this movie and everything. But honestly, more so than just the Furiosa aspects of it, I just really want to see it for Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth. I mean, I'll just see it just because I like both those actors. I like, her in particular. I think it's a great vehicle for her, and I'm sure she's going to absolutely smash it out of the park. And then it'll be interesting to see. What the hell? Ooh, man, everything's just falling apart here today. My mic arm just fell off my desk.
Oh, that'll throw a wrench into some things.
Oh,
Looks like your was your cat gnawing on your mic cord?
yeah.
Yeah. Pretty chewed up. I'm surprised it still works.
I know. No, yeah, because it's the hard shell part. It's not the
All right.
actual core. Like here, he doesn't touch or care about it, but for some reason, this freaking thing,
Mm.
he's just an absolute menace. All right, there you go, stronger than ever. All right, let's move on here. Some of this stuff. I'm just gonna scroll through here some of these updates. You just let me know anything that shouts out because I do want to talk a little Jedi Survivor and
Yeah.
Mandalorian before we
I mean,
possibly.
honestly, I'd rather just talk about that.
All right, let's just get going here. I just want to make sure I'm missing. Oh my god!
Oh, I guess just real quick. Speaking of
Oh, yeah.
Star Wars, you're going to see Return of the Jedi.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I will absolutely. If you want to be let in on that, I will definitely do that because I believe I really want to go see it in RPX. Because it's not coming to the IMAX near us, but it is coming to the RPX. So I feel like just Size Noodles and the whole Jabba's Palace band is just gonna be the sound. I can't even believe how beautiful that song.
Can't wait to hear that electrical shocks.
I can't wait. No, but genuinely, yeah. Let me know because I am definitely gonna see that.
Yeah.
I want to even go on the 28th, but I don't know if I get too far down the rabbit hole of Survivor, because I did request the day off, but I also have that next morning, so maybe you'll go see. Maybe I'll just have a nice day of Survivor, see Return of the Jedi at night, and then play some more Survivor when I get home.
Yeah.
And then
Funny enough, I took off the 28th to play Jedi Survivor, so we'll see.
So did
no,
I.
we'll
Boom.
see.
So let's talk some Jedi Survivor here. So for those who don't know, TJ and I'll just plug this. I'm not making any promises. I don't know what we're going to upload. I don't know what we're going to stream. I don't know if I'm going to stream or if he's going to stream or if both of us will stream on or off or anything like that. But that being said, because Hogwarts Legacy, I really wanted to get a lot of Hogwarts Legacy up on there, but that game was just kind of a lot more of exploring and just kind of grinding, and I just didn't enjoy streaming it. But I think what I'm definitely going to do, and then we'll talk about just kind of what we're looking forward to, but what I'm definitely going to do, I'm just going to hunker down, play through the whole game, and then I'll probably go through maybe a replay, streaming it, or streaming parts of it here or there type of thing. But yeah, I mean, so you have it pre-ordered?
I don't. I'm gonna do it some Thursday. So I'll pre-order it on the PlayStation 5, and then I'll preload it, I guess.
Are you getting the deluxe edition?
I wasn't planning on it. I don't. I'm not a big. I like cosmetics, but I'm very much just cosmetics that I can earn in game. Not for an extra price.
That's fair. The only reason I got the deluxe edition, I just wanted it. It was just, I was watching a video this morning that was like, even though I had already pre-ordered this game like a month ago at this point, I watched a video today that was like, which version should you get? Even though I already have it. I just wanted to see a guy comparing them. And he said in there, he was making me doubt myself because he was like, I'm not one to pay for cosmetics, whatever. But then he was like, but if you're that much of a Luke or that much of a Han or that much of an R2-D2 fan, just go for it. And I was like, there you go. I mean, I just love the fact that right off the bat, I can make Cal dressed as either Obi-Wan, Han, or Luke. I mean, I like that. I would love if they gave him Leia's like white outfit. That would be fantastic. Get Cal with the little hair buns on the side. I pre-ordered it. I'm gonna begin. It's gonna start downloading in just a few hours here, because it'll start downloading at midnight tonight. And then.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So midnight. They say that it's the 25th is when downloads can start, but for us that's midnight on the 26th.
26th. Okay.
Yeah, so basically in just about 2 hours here. But man, it is. I looked. It's 100 from on my system. It's 161 gigabytes, which is whew, man, that is some crazy stuff. But we've talked about Fallen Order. We love the story and everything. We know it's 5 years later. We know that there's High Republic stuff going on. We know that there's some sort of a Coruscant subplot with this. There's a lot going on in this game that all the different trailers have kind of hinted at aspects of, with the guy waking up from the cryo sleep in the High Republic outfit. We also got in the earliest trailer, remember, we were battling that like one-armed red lightsaber wielder, whoever that might be. You know, I feel like there's just so much to this game. We're going to get some more open world elements. What are you kind of looking forward to? Just the improved map, the fast travel.
One
you know,
part of
what are you kind of looking forward to the most?
Yeah, definitely the improved map. Definitely the improved skill tree. I'm looking forward to that. I believe the review embargo actually lifts tomorrow as well. So you'll definitely get reviews for that. I'm very glad, and I didn't think that this was going to happen anyway, but that you will just have the same abilities from the first game. You know, it's not like, you know, he's losing anything. Right, exactly, or anything like that. So that's really cool. And I'm excited to customize my lightsaber again. You know, that was really fun. I really liked being able to do. I remember, you know, getting the double blade. I was like, holy shit! I didn't think you'd be able to do that.
Don't you want your lightsaber to look like Luke's or Obi-Wan's? Or Luke's and Obi-Wan's?
Is it $10 more?
It's $10 more. So okay, so this is exactly what it is.
Okay.
Pre-ordering it, which I encourage you to do because that is no extra money. Even with the regular one, and you get all the Obi-Wan stuff. So that's Obi-Wan's look from the series finale with the goggles and the white and the black overcoat, and then his lightsaber when he meets Qui-Gon. It's that look.
Okay.
The hello there look. So that is just with any pre-order with any level, and then for $10 more, you get Luke's. Now I'm forgetting. Is it the Return of the Jedi Black? No, it's the gold jacket. The gold jacket from the medal ceremony. So it's Han and Luke's outfits from the medal ceremony. And then you also get an R2-D2 skin for BD1. And then the interesting thing with BD1 is because not only is the skill trees improved and everything, but customization.
Hold on. I'm looking at PlayStation Store right now. And it's saying standard edition pre-order is $70, but the deluxe edition pre-order is $90.
So it's $20 difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when you say Obi-Wan, are you referring to the Hermit lightsaber set?
Yes.
Is that okay?
The Hermit lightsaber set and
standard.
Outfit set. Yeah.
And the combustion, which one's that?
Yeah, so that's Obi-Wan's blaster, because that's the other thing about this game too, is that we know that Cal is also going to have a blaster. Or one of the four or one of the 5 lightsaber types, because they basically I think they call them stances, is that there's going to be these different lightsaber stances. Is there's going to be and I will just preface this by saying I know that you know this, but I have just been playing Fallen Order like literally nonstop. I have played the game fully twice in the last month. And then also I've just been going in on my New Game Plus and just my regular game and just going in and just playing it and getting a feel, because I just really want to hit the ground running and just be good at this new game. Like I just want to be able to just get through it and just kind of slide right into it. So I literally have Fallen Order paused on my screen right behind my monitor. And so, you know, what I have been gravitating towards the last couple days, I love the dual wield. So not the double blade, but the dual wield in 2 separate hands and the cross, you know, hitting everybody like that. I love playing like that. And you can play the entire game in that, because that's one of the stances. They have dual wielding. They have the double lightsaber. They have kind of a big like Vanguard, like almost Kylo Ren style blade for heavier attacks. Like it's heavier but slower. Then they have the single blade stance, and then the single blade with the blaster stance. So there's a ton to this game. Like you said, it's not just one skill tree this time. It's a skill tree for all 5 of those stances. And then also what I was saying with the R2D2 skin for BD is not only is Cal's hair and beard and outfits and individual items of clothing customizable, but also the size and shape and look of BD is also customizable.
Mhm.
There's different face plates and everything, so you can really make it look like R2 or a bunch of different other cool things that they've shown. They just really took everything about the first game and just ratcheted it up. You know what I mean? Like they just made so many great improvements and everything like that. But yeah, where do you kind of think that this story is going? Because I mean, I will say I think it's going to be a little more. I think I'm just going to throw this out there. Kind of like Vader in the first one, I think there's going to be either one big surprise or a lot of surprises in this movie, or sorry, in this game. Because the devs and the fans and people like Star Wars Explained have really been hitting it hard of like, do not get this game spoiled for you. So like, I'm thinking like, what does that mean? Are we gonna see the path maybe? Like, could we see Quinlan Vos or Obi-Wan himself, in this game? It takes place at the exact same time as the Obi-Wan series. Where do you kind of think things are going with this? Because really all we've seen is that one planet, Kobo, and we know that Coruscant's in it. That's it.
Yeah, I don't really know, honestly. I haven't really kept up with any trailers or any story beats or anything, honestly. So I'm very in the dark on a lot of stuff. Obviously, we know that kind of person that we saw in the back to tank is some sort of, I believe it's like a Jedi from like, what was it, like decades ago or centuries or
The
whatever.
High Republic. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
the High
And
Republic.
to me, I don't think he's going to be Acolyte High Republic. I think he's going to be like High Republic. Like I'm thinking this guy's like 300-400 years ago, not like 50 or 100. You know what I mean? But then I also saw just my mind spinning. In the first game when he holds Trilla's lightsaber and he gets all the flashes of her memories and stuff, and it's so painful. Somebody's like, "What's gonna happen when Cal touches the High Republic guy's lightsaber?" And are we gonna get? Is our first technically live action?
He sees them like, I was gonna say watch it and like he touches the lightsaber, he like sees him like murdering everybody.
Yeah,
He's like,
or
oh, maybe
like
this guy's
even
bad.
is this really? I mean, we know Acolyte's coming, but I know this isn't technically live action. But I mean, what do you think the likelihood is that we get actual High Republic flashbacks in this game, and that this really is going to be kind of our first look at the High Republic? Again, I hesitate to say in live action, but it's basically in live action. So, what do you think's going on with the High Republic guy? Either friend or foe? I mean, clearly we see Cal waking him up from this back to tank. How long has he been in there? Is it a prisoner? I mean, what?
I
I
don't
love how
know.
much we don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea on what that is. He looks dope. I will say that. He looks really cool.
I love the white skin.
I think it might be like starting to get to know each other. I'm assuming maybe he's in some temple or something. I don't fucking know where he is. But we obviously he lets him out of there, and maybe at first it kind of seems like he's good, and then he kind of takes that turn. It's like, oh, this guy's bad news or something like that. But yeah, I'm interested to see if how it in any way connects to anything. Is I know I'm seeing this thing.
All right, we're good.
How it connects to anything, but all right, Flash reactions are out. So
all right, yeah. So Jedi Survivor, absolutely fantastic. Real quick here, I just want to go real quick. What did you think? Oh, just give me your quick paragraph. How did you feel about Mandalorian season 3? Because I've been doing
Okay.
my week-to-week videos and everything. We don't have to go into a 45-minute spoiler review just
No,
before we
right.
get to the Flash stuff to close out. How
Yeah.
did you, TJ? Did you feel like it's Bo-Katan's show? Like, how?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I thought The Mandalorian season 3 was very up and down. Some good episodes, some bad episodes, some slow episodes. For me, it was kind of in the middle. It was probably the weakest season, I'd say, out of the 3. And obviously, we've talked before about, Bo-Katan got the Darksaber, blah blah blah. We got to the clones finally, and with Moff Gideon, and then all that other stuff. I thought it was, just up and down season. I was fine with the ending. Again, the ending to me, this felt even more like Thanos Infinity War when he's just sitting down at the end.
Yeah.
The end of this the final episode. But yeah, I'm excited to see kind of where they go with it. Again, this is gonna connect, and I've heard this. I think I heard this on that Katie Sackhoff interview on Christian's channel where they're talking about Ahsoka and Boba Fett and Mandalorian. They're all kind of connecting. Like all these shows, kind of go together. So I'm excited to see what Ahsoka brings to the story. And I'm interested to see what happens with Mando and Grogu going forward. It's reported that Grogu was kind of forced into season 3, and that's why Book of Boba Fett took that turn where they were like, oh, we gotta reunite them somehow, and then season 3, it's like, oh, they're back together. So I'm interested to see what is in store for Ahsoka as well as Din and Grogu going forward, as well as Bo-Katan. But overall, I thought it was kind of an up and down season.
I agree with a lot of what you just said. I really do. Yeah, I do. All right, let's move on to the Flash. No, but I really do agree with a lot of what you said. I thought that some things were handled a little too perfectly, a little too neatly, a little too quickly. And something just felt off. But I mean, we're never gonna know what the hell happened or whatever. If you want to read off this first one, I actually, just like last year, I have a source in the room. I was just gonna reach out, but I already got it. So this is a direct text message from a source within the room that just finished the movie.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't bad. It was funny. But had major Spider-Man vibes.
Huh.
So I'm assuming
Which
that
Spider-Man?
would be No Way Home. Yeah, that's what I'll say. I'll say No Way Home ?
All right, I'll read this reaction. Coming from Robert Butler III. He said, "Be careful because the Flash will pull a quick sleight of hand before your very eyes. Andy Muschietti's film magically blends a moving solo Barry Allen story with an exciting nostalgia flick that is legitimately funny. The phenomenal superhero action adds a nice cherry on top." So that's very, very glowing review, I'd say.
I'll take that.
All right.
Jeff Snyder. The Flash. The first hour is pretty fantastic. Strikes the perfect tone. Ezra is great. Heroic, funny, emotional. The last hour is mostly terrible. Just an utter mess. Wow, what a Jeff Snyder.
Jeez. Yeah, he just
what
flipped
a shift.
it on.
I did not see that coming. That was a jump scare. That was a real jump scare. Ezra is great, heroic, funny, emotional. The last hour is mostly terrible. Just an utter mess that'll leave you asking what the hell is going on. Fan service and DC villain problems strike again. Mixed bag overall.
All right.
Wow. All right.
1-1.
Scott freaking Mance. The Mance man himself, Scott Mance. The Flash is awesome. One of the very best DC movies. A perfect blend of action, heart, and humor. So many wow and chill-inducing moments that longtime DC fans will love. Ezra Miller is superb. Twice, actually, and Michael Keaton's still got it. I mean, that's hard, man. That's
all right.
What's hard is how much people, you gotta praise Ezra Miller if he's that good in the movie. You know what I mean? It's hard, but
Mhm.
I don't know. That's what people are saying. Dana Abercrombie says The Flash is worthy of its source material that supersedes expectations. It does everyone proud, funny, heartbreaking, thrilling. It's a great send-off for Ben Affleck and respects the legacy of Michael Keaton's Batman. Interesting. Oh, here you go. You want to take this one? Oh, wait, hang on. What the hell?
Yeah, if I can read it.
Here we go.
Matt Ramos, aka Soups, said, "This is truly one of the best superhero movies ever. Believe the hype. Oh my god!" And then he tweeted below that, and he said, "I don't even know where to begin, dude." So,
Wow.
yeah, very good. That's 4-1 right now. Snyder is in the minority.
Yeah.
Not that he didn't like it,
minority.
but he just said the back half of it was awful.
Yeah. All right. Frosty here from Collider, Steve Weintraub, said The Flash is fantastic. I know Ezra Miller has made a lot of mistakes, but they are so good in this movie. Loved Keaton, the action, the humor, the emotion. Andy Muschietti has crafted something special. Thumbs way up. And then also, side note, he says WB did not show any after credits.
Now that's interesting. Now
Yeah,
is that
for sure.
because is that spoiler
I would
issues?
imagine.
Maybe,
I would
probably.
imagine it's just like, hey, we're giving them enough with the actual movie.
Yeah.
Let's save something for let's save something to get these people back in. Okay, yeah, No Way Home vibes for sure, but it was very funny. A very funny movie. It made you like the Ezra guy, but they said nothing about him on the panel.
Well, I'm not. That's not really surprising.
Yeah. Damn. Well, there you go. I mean, it's a definite No Way Home vibes. And then this one here too. Jermaine Lucier says, "Yup, The Flash is as good as rumored. It's Back to the Future meets Spider-Man No Way Home." Okay, now that's a pretty bold statement. It's Back to the Future meets Spider-Man No Way Home with all the humor and heart of the former and action and surprises of the latter. If anything, it might be a tad too ambitious, but it's also just incredibly satisfying, heartwarming, and fun. I would say, TJ, that's probably the most glowing review that we've gotten so far, I would say.
Yeah, Back to the Future and Spider-Man No Way Home
just
a
there
big
is
duo.
pretty crazy. And then doubling down to say that it combines the best parts of both of those is kind of crazy. The Flash is the greatest DC movie within the last 30 years. Okay, these are just some quick poll quotes here. So that's from El Mayembe. The Flash movie is the greatest DC film in the last 30 years.
Trying to think last 30 years, like, is that really
a lot
that
of
high
them?
bar?
That's most of them. So, including the Dark Knight trilogy. So, we'll see. But I mean, to each their own. I know it's just people out there that just don't like Batman or just love Flash. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion. DC's The Flash is tremendous. Forget DC, it is without a doubt among the best superhero films ever made, and that is from Eric Davis, who I think is with Fandango. It is indeed one of DC's best and fits nicely as a bridge story between the old and new DCEU franchises.
Now, look at where that quote is. I'm just looking at bridge story. Now, to you, does that signify the Flash? Obviously,
I think so.
This is kind of the turn of the page, like where this story is going to bring us into the new James Gunn universe.
I think for me, I think that is what I think. I think I can understand. Okay. I can understand being upset by that, by being like, well, a movie. Like Quantumania had that complaint a lot. Like, well, a movie shouldn't just be setting up the next thing. It should be a thing on its own. I feel like you're just kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't with this, because it's like, in order to not just say like, hey, behind the scenes, this is a hard reboot. After Aquaman, nothing counts, and we're starting completely over. You know, it's like they're doing this. A lot of people, both inside and outside of DC
Go
Studios, have called it the rolling reset. Yeah,
go,
what?
go to Snyder's like most recent tweet.
Oh God. Hang
This is a funny like. You might have to like just go to his profile.
on. The In Snyder. This.
Yeah.
This. Just scanned initial reactions. Embarrassing. I am embarrassed for my profession. Not even a whiff of criticism. A bunch of easy lays, I tell you. There are only a handful of critical voices you can trust these days. It's sad. And yes, I know this tweet is going to get me killed. ...
That was funny.
Amen.
I mean,
Oh,
I
you know
haven't
what
seen
I
a
want?
lot of critiques on those tweets we've been looking at.
You know what I want? Here, I'll pull this to the side so I can look up some particular people. But you wanna take these two?
Yeah. So Eric Goldman said, "Yeah, The Flash is legit great. Delivers some notably thrilling, fun, and creative moments I felt I hadn't seen in a million other superhero movies. Had me smiling from the Warner. It had me smiling from the Warner Bros. Logo at the top, and I even dug stuff inspired by movies I wasn't into."
Now I wonder what that means. Stuff inspired
Yeah.
by movies I wasn't into. Now we've heard a lot about there's going to be Speed Force. Oh, I just want to update. Robert Butler III says, one last note, The Flash tells a satisfying Barry Allen story alongside a really good Bruce Wayne story. Both Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck are in top form. So I'll ask you this quick here. Did you get a chance to watch the new trailer from today?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
So just let me know later, because I want to know this new trailer. Gosh, I completely forgot who I was like looking up. So this new trailer really kind of hits home that this movie is a Bruce Wayne movie as much as it is a Barry Allen movie. And this new trailer really, really does that. So I want to get I want to hear, message me after this, because I want to know if you think, is it more of a, hey, this movie really is about more than just Barry, or do you think it gives the vibe of, this movie is really just about, it's about Barry, but the marketing is heavily focused on Batman because of the obvious elephant in the room. So I want to know your take on that, but I will say that gives me hope that it says that it's a great Bruce Wayne movie, meaning both Bruce Waynes that are in the movie. Because what I really didn't want, because I do love Ben Affleck as Batman, I really do. What I really didn't want was, like this great arc, huge movie thing for Keaton, but then Affleck's just in the first 4 minutes, and it's like, all right, Barry, good luck. But in this new trailer, just in the trailer alone, he's got one of the best Batman lines I've ever heard in a movie, where he goes about Barry going back to try and fix the past. He says, our scars define who we are. We're not supposed to go back and change them. And I was like, that's like, wow, like that's a great Batman line. Like I was like sitting there watching the trailer, just at that one line, I was like, that's fantastic. So to hear that they're both used really, really well is great. I'm not hearing a lot about Supergirl in any of these.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Let's see. Perry Nemiroff says, caught an unfinished cut of The Flash and dug it quite a bit, especially how the narrative challenges Barry to confront who he is, who he could have become, and how one's influenced by the people in or not in their life. It's a successful mix of heartfelt coming-of-age components, stellar action, really love the style of Flash's powers and creativity in those scenes, and a whole bunch of big laughs. The comedic timing and delivery are on point. I mean, that to me is huge, because we've seen Marvel movies overcook the humor, but DC to me almost is worse with it, with some of their attempts at, not the Snyderverse stuff, but I'm thinking like Aquaman, the first Suicide Squad movie, I think really suffer from the exact opposite of the timing and delivery both being off. So to hear that this, I expect a DC movie at this rate, it's going to hit the action. It's going to hit the storytelling. But can it be a crowd cheering, great movie. It sounds like this one is. I don't know, man.
Mhm.
All right, let's see if we can get a couple more here before we call it a day. Trying to see. Okay, Scott Menzel. So Scott Menzel is from the Hollywood Foreign Critics Association, or the Hollywood Critics Association, says The Flash is hands down one of the best superhero films of all time. No joke, The Flash is the ultimate movie-going experience as it has a little bit of everything: action, emotion, heart, humor, and plenty of nostalgia. Ezra Miller is phenomenal as dual Barry Allen's Michael Keaton, and there we go, and Sasha Kelly are very good also. This is a film that audiences will be watching over and over again. Oh, and avoid all the spoilers you can for this movie because there are some really incredible surprises that will truly blow you away. I cannot wait to see this again. All right, I think we just ended on that one.
Yeah.
Damn. I mean, what are your thoughts here? I mean, this is just overwhelming.
I'm excited. I'm also interested to see like the ending, just because Snyder said it was terrible. So I'm interested to see the decisions that are made that look like they might be poor decisions. But the majority are saying that it's one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. So it should be interesting.
I know. I really, 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 really hope that I don't get this movie spoiled. Like,
Yeah.
I like now at this point, now that I, because not that I don't trust James Gunn or Peter Safran, but like when David Zaslav comes out and goes, "It's the best superhero movie I've seen in years," or the best one I've ever seen, it's like, all right, well, like, how much do I really trust that? But now that it's not just David Zaslav and it's not just James Gunn and it's not just Andy Muschietti, it's, all these people, somebody that I personally know, somebody that, people I personally trust online and everything like that, I think it's just fantastic. But yeah, so we talked a lot. Oh, you there?
Yeah, my computer just crashed, so good thing we're ending it.
Yeah, all right. So, thank you guys from TJ's disembodied voice and me. We will just cut it there. But thank you guys so much for joining us. We talked Ted Lasso, everything like that. So, Ted Lasso, Jedi Survivor. All these tweets are still coming in. Ted Lasso, Jedi Survivor. We talked a little bit of Mandalorian. We talked a little bit of Carlito's Way. We talked a little bit of everything, and then ended off with all those Flash reactions and everything. So last thing I will leave you with, if TJ's still able to talk, is make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Share this video with a pop culture fan, an entertainment fan, a Flash fan, anything like that. And that will do it for me today.
Yeah, my name's TJ Cornwall. I've been your other host. Please like, comment, subscribe on this video. Let us know what you thought about any of the topics below.